What's going on YouTube? So even though the Outback is Subaru's most recognizable product, the Forester has also been a very successful product for them. And it's been around for a lot of years, which is why we're sitting in the all-new 2025 6th generation Forester. And we're in beautiful Montana to check it out. So, we want to know, is this the best Forester they've ever made? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so let's get things started here with the exterior design. Now, Subaru, of course, is not known for really rocking the boat too much in terms of exterior redesigns. They have that signature look. But with this next-gen Forester, actually, they've gone for a bolder approach. This is quite a bit more of a deviation than Foresters of the past, and that does begin up here in the front. So what they've done is kind of given this a wider look, mostly by actually widening the grille. So this is substantially larger than what it was in the previous generation. It now comes all the way out here to touch the headlights. They've also finished this in a gloss black for most of the trim levels, so it gives it a nice bold look that really pops. Here with the Touring, we got the little silver accent through the center as well, and you'll get bronze accents on the Sport model and just various differences between the different trim levels. Now, our headlights are also different as well. So it's almost a two-part design, but they're still all connected. So you've got your daytime running light, turn signal indicator up there at the top. Down below, you're going to find projector LED headlights. These are actually standard on all models, and not only that, but these are adaptive. So that's a really nice standard feature to see in this class of vehicle. Additionally, almost every single model is going to come with the LED fog lights except for the base trim level. And now that Mason's crouched down here, I might as well go ahead and mention, of course, Forester is known for having good off-road capability, and that does give you 8.7 inches of ground clearance, just like the previous gen. Now, as we move around to the rear, of course, that is also going to have a new look for 2025.
Yeah, and as far as some of those design elements that Subaru is integrated in, we do have a spoiler up top, an exposed rear wiper, and then really the main thing that's new for 2025, I think that most people will notice, is this black piece that goes in between the taillights. And speaking of the taillights, we have a completely new design this year, and Drew went ahead and hopped inside so if we can see if all the elements are LED. That's something we test out in all of our Car Confections reviews. As you can see, we have an LED brake light, LED reverse light, incandescent turn signal indicator. So we're going to get 2 out of 3 elements as LED, and of course the overall taillight shape is new this year. Now as we drop down, we do have a lot of rugged plastic down here in the lower area. This is a Forester after all. We're also going to have an exposed exhaust outlet, and that's going to be on the right side.
And moving on to our wheels, we do of course have new designs for 2025. You're now going to have 17 to 19 inch alloy options. So on the top end, such as this Touring, you now have a 19. Previously the biggest size was an 18. You also get a 19 on the Sport trim level with a special bronze finish. And then your base model is also going to come with an alloy instead of a steel wheel with the hubcap. This design here I actually do like quite a bit. It has a nice color contrast design going on. Another thing I want to point out while I'm down here though is the fact that this Forester's, the cladding is quite a bit more subdued than some of the other Subaru models. So if you prefer your cladding to be a little bit more narrow, this Forester is probably the best bet for you in the Subaru lineup. Now, as far as our mirrors, as you can see, we've got a gloss black finish on board. Blind spot monitoring is an available feature starting at the premium trim and above.
Now here at the side of the all-new 2025 Forester, I do want to talk about your overall vehicle length. It's up about 1.2 inches over the previous gen. That means it's going to be about 183.3 inches in overall vehicle length. Now, as far as design elements, the side looks very different from the previous generation. You're still going to retain large windows and such, but you're going to get this new element right here, kind of almost like a floating roof effect. This black piece in between the two body panels. It says symmetrical all-wheel drive. I also want to point out that you're going to have standard roof rails on every single Forester model, which is pretty impressive for this segment of vehicle. Now, in terms of your safety system, Subarus are always known for their safety, and that is going to continue and get even better for 2025. Their EyeSight safety suite with all 4 active safety features is standard across all Forester models. Now, additionally, new for 2025, you have a third camera mounted in the windshield that allows for wider angle views, and that improves all of your other safety systems. But guys, that's going to wrap up the exterior design. Let's go ahead and hop into the all-new interior. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
And now let's go ahead and get inside. First, of course, here's your typical Subaru key fob. You do have the intelligent entry system on all but the base trim level for 2025. And to access that, just reach behind the handle and that will unlock the doors. Now let's go ahead and take a look inside the cabin. Now, compared to the previous generation, you're definitely going to see a lot of interior changes, although it is going to be more familiar compared to other Subaru models. But before we get into all the other details, let's talk about the seats. So first of all, I do want to say Subaru has stated they've improved the seat design. They've actually made the bolsters a little bit thicker on the sides and the bottom. That way it will hold you in place better. And in terms of the actual materials, you are going to have a different one for each version. When you have this fully loaded touring trim level, this is going to get you a genuine leather, which is perforated. And you're also exclusively going to get the suede insert. So you'll see that that's running through the sides of the seats primarily on those bolsters, but you'll also see it on the door trims as well. Plus, Touring does have an exclusive color option of brown. Now, obviously, we have the black option if you prefer that, but brown is available exclusively with the Touring. In terms of the seats, they are 10-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support on all but the base model. Touring also comes with memory seats. But let's climb inside. And now that we're inside, let's look at the overall cabin materials. First of all, we'll go over here to our door trim. So we do have a leatherette trim that runs across the armrest. It is padded. The same material kind of continues up through here with the stitching detail. Again, as I was mentioning earlier, you've got that suede insert for Touring. Up top, this is going to be padded, and we have a gloss black accent through there. As I move to the upper dash, actually the entire upper dash, besides for this section right here, is going to be hard touch plastic. Over here, we have got a leatherette material. This has this cool diamond pattern along with some more stitching details. And then down here, this is also going to be padded for your knee to rest against. Everything is nice and solid as well. On all but the base model, you will have push button start to fire it up. And now let's go ahead and dig into all the individual details now that everything is fired up. Now, like I said, a lot of the elements are going to feel familiar to you if you've been in some of the other recent Subaru products, such as the Outback. Included within that is our gauge cluster. So as you can see, this is a mostly analog setup, but we've got the 4.2-inch multi-function display right there in the middle. The new thing, though, that's important to point out with the Forester model is that we've now moved to having a integrated display technology instead of the separated display like you used to have up here on the top. Most of those elements from the secondary multi-function display are now living inside the top part of this main display, which we're going to talk about, of course, in a little bit. But returning back over here to the steering wheel, we've got that signature Subaru design. Piano accents are running around the outside edges. You are going to have heating on both the limited and the touring trim levels for 2025, and manual tilt and telescoping abilities. I also want to point out we've got rain sense wipers on this touring trim level. Now as we turn over here to our center console, we'll open this up. Inside right now we've got a water bottle which is standing completely upright because this is a pretty deep console area. It's not incredibly long, but it is nice and deep with a felt lining down there at the bottom. You've also got two cup holders in front of that, kind of located diagonally. And then this is a big thing because we now have wireless phone charging on the Forester model. And not only that, but it's standard on everything except the base trim. Now, coming back to the shifter, we've got a nice traditional style, so it's easy to use. Pull back for drive, bump to the left if you want to activate some manual shifting with these paddle shifters on the steering wheel. And then when we go into reverse, another nice upgrade on the tech front for 2025. We've got a 360 camera available now on the Touring trim level. So as you can see, you've got that nice overhead view. You also have active trajectory and front and rear parking sensor visualizations down there at the bottom. Below that, you've got your electronic parking brake. This button here will also activate that 360 camera and allow you to change between several different views. But now we are up here at our main display and all the different things that kind of are in this area. I'm going to begin with the climate controls. So standard is going to be a dual zone climate system for 2025. The lower panel of the screen is going to be dedicated exclusively to climate controls, so you can make those quick adjustments down here, but you still have redundant physical controls for the most important one, which of course is just adjusting the temperature itself. 3-stage heated seats are standard on the Sport trim level. They are available on the Premium as well. And then this is new to Forester for 2025, seat ventilation. You now have that standard on the Touring trim level. Also with physical controls along the outside edges are our volume and tune knobs. Let's go ahead and sample the audio system because here on the Touring we have the 11-speaker Harman Kardon sound system. It is available on some of the lower trims, but this is the only one that will come standard with this sound system. Very nice. I've always been quite impressed with these Subaru sound systems because it seems like they spend the money to make the Harman Kardon sound system very premium sounding, even though this is a mainstream model. Now, let's get into the display. So this is the 11.7-inch display. We've already kind of talked about the top section and the lower section. And then what's in the middle here is, of course, your main Starlink infotainment system. So the critical new features on board are wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. That's pretty much the biggie that's available for the first time with the Forester model. That's also what we're demonstrating on the screen right now. I do want to point out, if you choose the base trim level, that actually won't get this large display. It's instead going to get a split 7-inch display system instead. And that is not going to have wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but it will still have it as a wired connection. Up top here with the Touring trim level, we get the smart camera rear view mirror. And then one thing I'm very happy to see carry over from the last generation of the Forester is the fact we've got this gigantic sunroof, and this is included on all but the base trim level. It goes back quite a distance, and as you can see, it does open up.
Now let's check out the rear seat area of this all-new Forester. Now this is a very important aspect because most people who buy in this segment have families that they're going to bring along with them for the journey. So let's talk about space first. About 39 inches of legroom and about 39 inches of headroom. The rear seat specs are actually pretty much unchanged from last year, which is certainly not a bad thing because that is a lot of space that really puts it on the upper end of the segment when it comes to the amount of space you're going to get. So I've always really been a fan of this area, and I continue to be for 2025. Now, one of the things we do here at Car Confections is give you a knee room measure with our ruler. So this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9", and we're looking at very solid about 9 inches of knee space left over. I also have room for my feet to slide up underneath the seat. However, do be aware that the seats do not recline on this model, so this is going to be pretty much your only configuration, that right there. Now, as far as other features to talk about, we do have vents on this Touring model. We're also going to have 2 charging USB ports, a USB-A, a USB-C, and off to the left and right of that, we have 2-stage heated rear seats. That's something that's not available on everything in the segment, so it's nice that Subaru is including that as an available choice. And then you do have the center armrest that folds down, 2 cup holders inside of here. The door trim is going to be hard touch on the upper part, so that's a little bit different from the front. However, we do still have some leatherette and Alcantara going through the door trim, and we have quite a bit of bottle storage as well. Now walking up to the cargo area, there's a little bit to talk about here. So before we even get back there, I do want to point out you have a new feature for 2025. That is a hands-free kick tailgate. So that previously was not offered. That's now on this 2025 model if you choose a sport trim level or above. So just kick your foot under the bumper to open it up. As you can see, it does work quite well. I've been pretty impressed with it in the amount of time that we've had with this vehicle. Now, as far as the space figures are concerned, this is an area where it's going to remain pretty close to the previous generation model. We're sitting at about 27.5 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats as a maximum 69 cubic feet of cargo capacity. That places it very competitive with the segment. It's nearly identical to the Toyota RAV4, a little bit less than Honda CR-V, but very good cargo specs in general. As far as features are concerned, we do have a 12-volt power outlet on the left side, and look at these little switches. That allows you to electronically fold the second row of seats. They do fold 60-40 split folding, and honestly, guys, I think that's a very underappreciated feature, that switch that makes folding seats absolutely super easy. Now here at Car Confections, we like to give you all the cargo figures and measures, and from behind the driver's seat to the rear of the cargo area in terms of length, we're looking at 73 inches. From behind the second row of seats to the rear, we're looking at 36 inches of length. Let's see how wide the opening is. In terms of width, we are looking at about 45 inches of overall width. Subaru is quick to point out that's a very good width figure. And in terms of overall cargo height here at the entrance, try and get this. This is a harder measure. We're sitting at 32 inches tall. So very good cargo dimensions back here. Additionally, if we lift up the cargo floor, it's a little bit challenging with the wind blowing here. You will find a spare tire underneath of the floor. And there's also various different accessories that you can get for the cargo area in case you want to hang like something like a lantern. You can do that here with the Forester.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what you'll find under the hood of this new Forester. So what we've got is a 2.5 liter Boxer 4-cylinder engine. This is largely the same as the outgoing generation, but power figures have been slightly updated. So this is 180 horsepower now and 178 pound-feet of torque. Now, Subaru has confirmed that there will be a hybrid offering eventually on this model, but it's not going to be available at launch. So stay tuned to the channel for additional updates on that in the future. Otherwise, you also have a continuously variable transmission, which has been retuned, and symmetrical all-wheel drive is standard, of course.
Now, as far as your fuel economy is concerned, it's going to be coming in at 29 miles a gallon combined. There is a drive impressions embargo on this all-new Forester until May the 6th. So you'll want to go ahead and mark your calendars for May the 6th. You'll be seeing all of our drive impressions on this new Forester. See how quiet it is on the channel, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Now let's talk pricing for this all-new Forester. Now in this regard, the base trim level does rise quite a bit this year, but do keep in mind you are getting more standard features for this 2025 version. In terms of the other lineup of trim levels, you can see those on the screen right now. It culminates in this touring trim level, which starts at $39,995, so just under the $40,000 price point. There are no options, so $13,995 destination. We're sitting at $41,390 as tested today. And if you're looking to buy a Subaru Forester or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/new car quotes. Now, why you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided at the top of this video in a pinned comment, and there's also a link in our video description. And guys, that's it for our in-depth review of the all-new 2025 Subaru Forester Touring. If you enjoyed watching this video, you'll certainly want to stay tuned for part 2, which, like I said, will be coming up very shortly. So go ahead and mark your calendars for May 6th when that embargo date drops, and we can show you what this vehicle is like to drive. Now, if you're just interested in Subarus or cars in general, we'd also encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below, because by subscribing, you're going to get access to a lot of other car reviews on the channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You're the ones that help get us invited to events like this, where you can be some of the first people to sample out this all-new Forester. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.